You're listening to Operation Self Reset 4 tips to become happier. What is going on, you freaking awesome people? Welcome back to Operation Self Reset. My name is Jake Naraki, coming to you live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where each and every week we dive into a different topic in the world of personal development. And today we're going to talk about happiness. I've covered it before, but it's one of those things that I think we all need to kind of reflect on. And I am going to be using 4 tips that I learned from a book that I recently read that's called The Happiness Track. It's how to apply the science of happiness to accelerate your success. It's brought to you by the author named Emma Seppala, Seppala. Hopefully I did not butcher that too bad. But, reading through this book, it made me realize a couple of ideas that I want to share with you personally. Now, again, look, in the world of books, in the world of ideas, there's not too much super cutting edge that's out there in the world of personal development. It's a reflection of the simple things done over time. As Jim Rohn has put it once, success is nothing more than doing the simple things day after day, or something along those lines. I don't know. I probably butchered that too. So I'm just in the butchering moment right now. But before we get into this awesome book, The Happiness Track, I want to share with you a couple things. Number one, I am a co-author in a book for small business owners that's called Brilliant Breakthroughs for the Small Business Owner: Fresh Perspectives on Profitability, People, Productivity, and Finding Peace in Your Business. The book is releasing today. That's right, November 8th of 2017. And we are, as a part, because I'm part of a co-authoring group here, we are allowing people to get their hands on a free ebook. If it applies to you, if you're a small business owner looking for a fresh perspective on marketing tactics and ideas, my chapter in particular is on podcasting. Please, please, please go to our bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/brilliant biz, B-I-Z, book, and make sure you use capital B's. Again, it's bit.ly/brilliant biz book. Go there and we'll give you a free ebook only for November 8th and 9th of 2017. If you're listening to this in the future, I apologize, but you can always go and check it out on Amazon. The book, again, is called Brilliant Breakthroughs for the Small Business Owner. And your host, me, Jake Naraki, is a co-author in the book. Check it out. Really valuable, really good ideas. And I also launched a podcast to go hand in hand with the book. The podcast is called Brilliant Breakthroughs for the Small Business Owner. If it applies, great. If it doesn't, well, then hopefully we can move on and dive into the Happiness Track book. But again, this is part 2 here, or I should say the second idea, and it's this. So today I went to a networking event. I actually went to Commerce, the Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if you have heard of it before. Almost every single city in the United States has a Chamber of Commerce. I think even in Canada too. And it's nothing more than a chamber is where business owners come together to talk about ideas, to further educate themselves, to kind of, do a better job in the world of reaching out and finding more customers to impact. And today was a unique experience because it's been a while since I've gone into my local community and networked with individuals hand in hand. And I will say it was rewarding. I feel good going and talking with people face to face. I think it's one of those traits and skills that we need to do a better job at, because I walked into that room and there's probably 30 people mingling, drinking coffee, having a couple donuts, and just kind of chatting. But there's 4 guys that were sitting at the couch, or on the couch, kind of across from each other on their cell phones, just like doodling, not calling or anything. And one guy was just like staring off into the abyss. And it was like, what? Why? Why are you here if you're not choosing to play big? And so obviously there's a lot of individuals that are probably listening to this and they're like, well, I'm not comfortable. I'm an introvert. I'm this, I'm that. I don't feel comfortable going up to people and all that stuff. Look, I agree with you. There's times that you just don't feel like showing up or putting a smile on your face or feeling like, you're good enough and smart enough and all those characteristics that kind of banter inside of our brain. But when you go into an event or a situation where you need to bring your best self, where you are going to be talking to other businesses or professionals or wherever the event is for you, you kind of need to prep yourself in advance. Now, Tony Robbins has his thing of, like strike a pose, get into your power stance, and I think that's all good and well. But if you're not mentally clear in doing some mental talking, internal talking to thyself before you walk into that quote-unquote lion's den of a networking event, you're really doing yourself a disservice. Because even myself, I was prepared going into the event. I walked into this big building. It was on the 4th floor. I go in the elevator. I press the button, and I'm starting. I started the internal chatter like, okay, I'm going to see a lot of people. I need to be friendly. I need to walk up to people. I need to, look people in the eye. I'm like going through all this internal chatter and self-talk, kind of like, psyching myself up. And as soon, like within seconds, because it was only on the 4th floor, the elevator doors open, and like the front desk is there probably like 4 feet in front of the elevator doors. There's 5 women staring me down, like, hey, welcome, like overwhelming. My phone's going off. It was a hectic experience because it threw me out of my game. They're asking me for my name. I'm like fumbling. I'm looking for it. Jake Naraki. They spelled my last name, off, and then I walk up to this one guy. We start talking, and he's talking about golf and why I need to learn how to golf because it's good. It's a good skill for businesses, and it was just a really awkward conversation with him. So I tried to peel away, but I couldn't because he was attached to me. He felt comfortable talking to me. And there's all these other cool people that I wanted to like get to know and talk to. So it's really, it's awkward. It's awkward. It's hard. There is no one-stop shop in the world of networking. There is no easy way to do it and come on in and say hi to everybody and shake hands and kiss babies, and it's just a magical experience. It's tough, especially if you don't do it all the time. And as I found out, a lot of those individuals that were there were kind of forced by the company that they work for. They were there because they had to be. They didn't really want to be there, but their company wanted boots on the ground. They wanted their brand, their business to be known. And so the only way to do that was literally to get one of their employees over there. And so I'm thinking, so you send one of your employees that A, probably does not enjoy their work, B, does not even want to be at this networking event, C, isn't really good at networking, D, is very awkward in front of other people, and yet you throw him into this lion's den to represent your company. And I was like, we have it all backwards. It was just like an aha moment to me, and maybe I should start a podcast on networking or something. I'm not the master of disaster. I'm awkward. I do silly things. I say silly things. Like, for example, before, I'm so sorry going on this rant, but I think it's good to give you a behind the scenes look on I guess, podcast hosts or people that you think have it together, because I really don't. I do in certain facets of my life, but when it comes to certain aspects, I own it, and I'm not the best at it, but I push through and I take action. And the funny thing was, I usually have like some weird, corny joke that I usually say to people at networking events that kind of get them to open up. And for me, I use the line of, I'm a first timer here, I've never seen this place, acting like I kind of stumbled into this place. It was really awkward, and you can imagine, I can't even think about what I said because I was like in this weird networking fog. And so I said this to like 10 people, and they chuckled, and some of them looked at me weird, and I just kind of rolled with it, and I started picking their brain. So I go into this room, and I sit down at my chair, and the head of the Chamber of Commerce is speaking, and he goes, the first thing he says is, well, thank you very much. Thank you for showing up. I just want to appreciate all the new members. This meeting is only for new members only. Our other participants of our organization did not get invited to this because they're seasoned veterans, and you guys are the new members. And I'm thinking to myself, so you're telling me that for the last about 40 minutes, I'm walking around this room talking to people and using some corny jokes saying I'm a new member and how, I walked into this place randomly and all this stuff, and yet they're new members too. It was like a punch to my gut, like, oh my gosh, I feel like a total nimwit at times. But nonetheless, I pushed through, and it was a good experience, and it was something that I'm going to do more of, and I think it's something that you guys should do more of too. And you're thinking, well, I don't need to go to a Chamber of Commerce. I don't need to go to a networking event, but there's two things that I suggest that you look into, okay? Number one is Toastmasters. Toastmasters International is a speaking group where you get in front of a group of people and you present a 3 to 5 minute presentation on a whole slew of different topics, from a how-to presentation to a story, a humorous presentation, all different types of presentations that will help you become a better speaker. Now, the reason why I think that's powerful and needs to be said right here, right now, is because the last thing you're probably working on is your communication skills. You're working on organizing your life. You're working on developing yourself and all those good things, and I think it's great. But a great way to enhance your confidence, self-esteem, just in general life, is to go and be a part of a Toastmasters group, to speak in front of random people. You're going to mess up. They're going to critique you, but along the way, you're going to get better. And once you get better, you're going to feel more confident, and you're going to feel like you have a little more swagger walking up to people. Because the one thing that everybody in this country, the world, does is communicate, either through a different language, but nonetheless, we communicate to one another. And you need to enhance that skill. If you're not enhancing that skill, as Tony Robbins says, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I'm not saying you're dying, but I'm saying that if you do have a lot of internal fears and doubt when it comes to networking or putting yourself out there, a great way to enhance that, an actionable tip, is to join a local Toastmasters International group. And you're thinking, where do I go for that? Well, fortunately for you, there are over like 10,000 clubs in the United States, and there's probably more than that. I guarantee in your city, in your state, there is a club. You may need to drive a little bit too, but for me, here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I have 7 clubs that were within a 5 to 8 minute drive. So there is really no excuse for myself or you to be a part of one. Highly suggest it. Go to Toastmasters. Number 2, the second idea that you all have to do is go and look at Meetup.com. Meetup.com is a site that you just meet up with. As in, if you're a stay-at-home parent, you want to meet other stay-at-home parents, go to Meetup.com. If you're a professional that's looking to be a little more social, go to Meetup.com. If you are a individual that likes gluing pieces of paper together to form high towers, which I just made up on the spot, but it seemed like a very awkward topic that you would think nobody would be interested in, I guarantee it, go to Meetup.com and search in there. There are local groups that are going on consistently around you, from coffee to beer to food to libraries to automotive, anything and everything. Go there, sign on up, be a part of an organization, be part of the real world. And the reason why I say real world is because there's too many times we get distracted and pulled and sucked into kind of our comfort zone, which is our home. That home can be whatever it is for you. And we sit at our computer, we watch things on our TV, we kind of isolate ourselves, we have Amazon drop off everything that we need possible, so we don't go outside or shopping anymore. We have food that's delivered to our doorstep. We're not driving anywhere anymore. We're not really connecting anymore. We don't need to go to the movie theater because we have Netflix and Apple movies and Amazon movies and all this stuff at our fingertips. So to get back in the real world, to utilize some of those skills you learned at Toastmasters to be a part of society, go to Meetup.com. Go and join a local Toastmasters chapter. That's my rant. I apologize for the inconvenience of stalling in between the message of how to be happy. But if you want to be happy and fulfilled, probably one of the most things to do, or the best things to do, increase your confidence, increase your self-esteem, is literally to go to a meetup event and or increase your communication skill. So with that being said, let's dive into the happiness track. The tagline here is How to Apply the Science of Happiness to Accelerate Your Success by Emma Sapela. Sapela. I don't know. I'm messing up her name. I apologize. So the first thing that I want to discuss with you guys that I found in this book, again, these tips are not earth-shattering. You've probably heard this before. The crazy part is the first tip that I'm going to share with you guys is called, it's not really called anything. The first tip is this. Being present allows you to find fulfillment in the moment, in the task at hand, rather than in some distant future, after you achieved everything and ticked every last task off your list. Now, the reason why I highlighted that and I share that with you is because of the simplicity of that statement. Being present allows you to find fulfillment in the moment, in the task at hand. And too many times we are looking to push past this moment in time so we can go to task number 2. I'll raise my hand. I am an achiever. I like to push through. I like to get things done. I like to get them over with. I'm not really thinking about in the moment. But when you find that thing that you kind of enjoy a little bit, really live it up. Really eat it up. Really kind of take that piece of bread and swirl that around in that French onion soup and let that bread suck in all the delicious juices of that soup so you can plop that bad boy in your mouth and bammo, you got yourself a delicious, succulent treat. Again, it's not new. It's a reminder for you to increase your happiness. The second part to that statement that Emma states is this. Our biggest goals and ambitions are essential, as in we need to have goals, we need to have something that we're working for, and we need to remember that our full engagement in this moment is the ticket to our happiness and to our success. Now, to kind of nail that home, the other night my wife came into my office as I was doing some podcasts for some other projects and things that are going on, and I'm staying up late, and she comes and kisses me on the cheek, and she goes, I'm going to bed. How late are you going to be up for? And I go, oh man, I'm going to have to be up for another hour and a half, 2 hours. It was just a long day. I was kind of beat down. And she goes, is this making you happy? And I was like, I don't know right now. But, in reality, we kind of have this stigma that we need to throw on this layer of chaos and irritation and disgust. But at the same time, the reason why we're working for something or in ambition to that something is because some way, somehow we are happy. It does allow us to be fulfilled. And the same with a photographer that's out there in the woods on a cold morning trying to get that perfect shot. Are they happy then when they're cold and their equipment's freezing and all that stuff? Probably not. But they know that they're going to reap the rewards at a later time when they're inside looking at that photo that's on their wall or they sold to somebody else or whatever the case may be. And so it's a reminder that in the moment is the key part. In the moment, instead of pushing through and putting our head down and grinding away, as a lot of great entrepreneurs say in today's day and age, maybe it's time for us to take a step back, look, recalibrate, and enjoy. So the second step that I found, or second tip, I should say, that I found in this book was this. Emma states, surfing the stress waves. Stress is a big thing that is in all of our lives. She states that stress is not all that bad. As in, we need to have stress, obviously, to move us forward. But along with stress, we need to make sure that we have the resilience needed to push past it. And Emma's definition is this. Resilience is the ability to quickly bounce back from the stressful situation you face every day. A difficult interaction with someone, a delayed flight that threatens to make you late for an important sales call, working long hours on a project with a looming deadline, and so on. And a recap here, resilience is the ability to quickly bounce back from the stressful situation. Now, obviously, as we know, stress is a key component in every single person's life. There's not one individual that's listening to this that is stress-free. If you're stress-free, then that means that you're not pushing yourself beyond your boundaries. See what's happening to me right here? I told you before in step number 1, enjoy the moment and all that stuff. And then step number 2 here, I'm telling you guys to push beyond your boundaries, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I think stress is crucial and key to the development of anybody, because if you are not stressing stressing yourself out in the sense of pushing yourself to that next level, then you're staying comfortable. And when you're staying comfortable, you're not able to excel and to move past your barrier, your performance envelope, as I state. The analogy of a performance envelope is that when the U.S. Navy is testing the U.S. Air Force is testing a new airplane, for example, they want to test the performance envelope. They want to see how fast it can go and all the other crazy things that it can do, as in the plane, to test it to its outer boundaries. Now, for you, we have this square that's around us. You don't see it, you don't realize it, and a lot of us are staying within it. Hence, where do we go for our food? Where do we go for our coffee or gasoline? Or where do we go for our meetings or anything like that? Usually it's within a radius, or it's a local place that we've gone to multiple times because it's comfortable there. We know the people. We know how it works. We know the system. There's a lot of good that is with that, but also, too, it keeps us from moving outside of the norm. And so when we're talking about stress and we're talking about happiness, Emma kind of has a kind of cool little story about the lion and the antelope. And we know that when the lion needs to go feast, the antelope is usually the prey. And the antelope, before the lion runs out there and tries to attack it, the antelope is resting, it's grazing, it's not thinking that it needs to be in this fight or flight mode. It is just being. It's recharging. It's just relaxing. And as this lion starts to, beeline in towards that antelope, the antelope freaks out, fight or flight goes into full effect, and it runs and hustles like a behemoth. And if the antelope does truly beat the lion, for some odd reason it gets away from the lion just didn't have it in the any extra gas in the tank that day, the antelope gets out of that fight or flight stage almost immediately, calms down, falls down, and relaxes. It's grazing. It's recharging its batteries for that next endeavor. And so, getting back to the surfing the waves of stress, is that you need to get on that wave. You need to carve it up. You need to let it push you where it's going to go, and then after that, either you go back on the beach or you paddle back out into the water. And the choice is you on what dilemma you want to go into. I don't know if that really applies to tactic number 2, but hopefully that makes sense to you. Excuse me, because as I go through this, sometimes I lose my tracking here of what the heck I'm actually talking about. But nonetheless, I thought that was a cool example. All right, step number 3. Breathing. Oh my gosh, Jake, really? Happiness, breathing, really? We're going to go there? Hey man, I'm just telling you what Emma stated here. I'm just the messenger. As they say, don't kill the messenger, okay? I'm just telling you, she talks about breathing. I think breathing is a crucial component. For me, there was a situation recently where it was just now, if you don't know my backstory, I work for the fire department. As you know, the fire department, we live at a firehouse for 24 hours a day. So we get there at 8 a.m. We don't leave until the next day at 8 a.m. and we sleep there. And obviously, when you're sleeping, to get woken up abruptly kind of throws you out of your game. You kind of get shaken. You're like, whoa, you're out of it a little bit. You're confused. Your heart rate just like rips out of your chest. You're all out of it. And I remember getting to the apparatus, putting on my equipment, getting in the rig, and my heart was pounding like a behemoth. Now, again, I've been on this department for 13 years. I don't want to say I've seen it all, but I've gone through a lot of things, a lot of highs and lows and all crazy types of situations. The situation I was going to was not that intense, but for some odd reason, my body was reacting very abruptly to it. It was probably because I was maybe in a REM sleep or a really deep sleep. And so I remember sitting there in the officer spot on that rig, and I had to breathe, like that. My heart was hurting, like it was beating so hard. And I remember, okay, I'm going to breathe. I'm just going to take a deep breath. And I took a deep breath. Now, magically, did it help? It did help. I don't know if magically it helped, like, oh my gosh, I need to do more of that. But it's funny because in this chapter, or in this particular spot, when Emma's talking about breathing, there's different techniques to breathing, right? You should wake up in the morning and do your breathing techniques, or before bed, and when you feel stressed, in for 5, hold for 2, out for 7, all these different ideas on how to breathe. And I think those are really cool and crucial. But I will tell you, honestly, from a first-hand experience, when your heart is hurting because it's beating so hard, and also too, as a side note, I'm a healthy dude. I'm 32 years old. I'm a healthy dude, 32 years old, and my heart was hurting. It was beating so hard. I didn't think about taking a tactical breath or taking a pause breath or a triangle breath or a flexing worm breath. There's all these different weird keywords to breathing. I just took a straight up old school deep breath, held for like a split second and breathed out, and it truly did help. It calmed me down. My heart was still beating, but it wasn't to that level that it was at. And so for you, it's a reminder that when you feel anxiety or stress or just the pressure coming down on you, I don't care what kind of breath you do, because I'm a believer in just straight up breathing. Just breathe, like a deep breath, period. However you want to alter that, chop it up, dice it, put it in some cool envelope, put a name to it. I don't care whatever you do to it, but all I can say is you need to actually deep breathe one time. Straight up one time. Forget the science and logistics and all the nonsense that associated with it. I think just breathing is key. Now, if you're a gearhead or a mind freak or a neuroscience wannabe, maybe here is some great wisdom and information to kind of pair with the breathing technique of whatever you choose to real, actual science. So there's this thing inside of our brain called the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is the 10th cardinal nerve, which is linked to our heart, which is linked to our lungs, which is linked to our digestive system, and thus slows down our fight or flight mode. So, if you don't want to deep breathe because you think it's silly, then do it for your vagus nerve. And if you do it for your vagus nerve, it calms down probably the three most important quadrants of your body: the brain, the heart, and the gut. And as I'm kind of building out this story, or I should say my new book called Emotional Warfare, I'm learning more and more about the gut. And I realize the gut is kind of a key player in the world of emotions and feelings and performance. And if we're not taking care of that bad boy, then everything else is going to be out of whack. So when I kind of discovered and realized this vagus nerve is kind of connecting all the dots, I was like, whoa, this is legit here. This is real science. This is real neuroscience. This is not some fake story that Jake Naraki from Milwaukee, Wisconsin put together. This is real, truthful, individual stuff. So if you want to breathe, deep breathe. However you want to go about that, go about it. If you don't feel that deep breathing is suitable for you, don't deep breathe for you. Deep breathe for your vagus nerve, because once you do that, everything will come in alignment and it will kind of settle down. Simmer down now, the fight or flight response. Okay? So hopefully that helps you. I don't know if it will, but it helped me. Give it a try. And the last thing that I want to share with you guys is number 4 here. We are wired for compassion. This book was based on happiness and how can we be more happier. I don't even know if that's proper, but nonetheless, or no, I should say more happiest. That was a joke there, people. Don't criticize me. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, in the book, she states that they did a study and they interviewed 500 students from Stanford, and they asked them, if you only had 3 days to live, what would you do? And we can all agree probably, what would you do if you had 3 days to live? It's exactly what the 500 individuals stated as the top results in this study. And it said, be with loved ones and help others to some regard. And so she made a great comment that I think I kind of giggled at. And she said, basically, despite the fact that we're actually not living it on a regular basis, it just shows that we all are wired for compassion, that we want to love, we want to help, we want to give, regardless of wherever you currently feel that you're at in your life today. Now, again, look, these ideas are not mind-bending or phenomenal. They're points to reflect on. They're points to get in the back of the bases of. Are you taking deep breaths? Are you managing stress? Are you being compassionate? All those different ideas that were described in this book are maybe the things that are needed for you today. Life is weird. They say that things are put in our path so we listen, watch for, or digest. And some of those ideas come in different methods or mediums, and maybe some way somehow, by you listening to this episode today, right here, right now, in your car, working out, running around like a crazy person, maybe this is what you need for you. And so instead of thinking that this is another podcast episode about happiness, these are 4 tips about the same stuff that I heard before, maybe take this as an actual spoon of medicine and say, you know what? I'm going to take this down. I'm going to put this into practice, and I am going to maybe use 2 of these ideas or one of these ideas into my life starting right now. So with that being said, those are my 4 ideas out of this book. Again, it's a great book. Look, I'm not paid to do this or ever, it was just a cool book. I thought it was exciting. Again, the book is called The Happiness Track, How to Apply Science of Happiness to Accelerate Your Success by Emma Cepela. I don't even know if I said that right again. But nonetheless, Emma, thank you for providing a great book. Hopefully this provided some value for you right here, right now. And the last thing I want to say to you is that you guys are freaking awesome individuals. And I would scream at the top of my lungs, I'm freaking awesome, but my door is broke and it's off the hinges and I don't feel like waking up my 3 boys right now. So with that being said, maybe we could do a little internal scream of I'm freaking awesome. So if you wouldn't mind joining me, this is what I call my awesome sauce. Awesome sauce is nothing more than standing in a position of power with your chest out, shoulders back, chin up, arms up overhead. You're moving your fingers, you're moving and grooving your seat, and you have an image of a future that is bright, full of possibilities, that is freaking awesome. And it's a reminder to thyself that we have more than what we're giving currently in our lives. And it's about time you stand up for who you are. And I would like you to scream internally, I'm freaking awesome. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Yes! That was really weird, huh? A little gap, and then I just follow up by a clapping and saying yes. Very silly, I guess. But nonetheless, I appreciate you guys. If this provided some value to you, hopefully it did, please go to iTunes, leave a review for the show, Operation Self Reset, and subscribe. If you know somebody that needs a little bit of awesomeness in their life, please share this show, episode, anything like that would be greatly appreciated. I am gearing up for next year's Self Reset Power. It's a 3-day event in September, the second weekend in September. So if you are one of those crazy individuals that loves putting things down on a calendar, please mark your calendar. It's going to be September 8, 9, 10 of 2018. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys. Until next week, Wednesday, be freaking awesome and share a little bit of freakiness with somebody else. We'll see you.